Welcome, friends, to week 3 of Penfold Theater's Spring Screen Series. Hopefully, in the last 2 weeks, you had a chance to listen in on some of our holiday radio casts. We could all use a little Christmas right now, I think. But today we have a new treat for you. You know, normally at this time, we would be in performances of Vincent. That show has been postponed, but today we get to go backstage with Vincent director Beth Burns. As always, if you would like to make a gift during this difficult time, you can do that at penfoldtheater.org/donate. Your gifts are always deeply appreciated. But first, let's go backstage at Vincent. Welcome, Beth. It's
Hello.
you.
So good to see you. Bonjour.
Bonjour. How are you today?
I am well. I am here in a cafe in France, as you can see.
Yes, I see that clearly.
Do you know what? In seriousness, it's actually a really nice reminder of the transformative power of art. For people who might be watching this in the future, we are currently in the midst of quarantine for COVID-19, and I cannot imagine what I would do without art to give me grounding and inspiration and beauty when I need it most.
It can be overwhelming, all of the changes. And if all we ever thought about was the doom and gloom, it could take us down to a bad place. So it's nice to have that brightness and encouragement and connection that art allows.
You know, I was just thinking about how long you and I and Nathan have worked together, almost since the very first time that I moved here, which was 12 years ago.
How is that possible?
Everybody gets older and I stay the same age, right? It's
So
amazing.
weird. I was watching the National Theatre in London had released One Man, Two Guvnors, and I couldn't see that without thinking about Servant of Two Masters, which that play is based on, and which you directed for us back in, I think, 2011.
I was really proud of that. How much fun, what a great group of people.
So when you find those people that you really enjoy working with, you can come back to that time and time again. It's part of what makes it fun.
And how are you?
I'm doing well. Being flexible, trying to roll with the punches and take good care of each other, stay connected, you know, with our good friends.
It's so important right now for us all to be flexible, isn't it? Well, like Bruce Lee said, right? Be the water. Everybody's got to be the water right now. Be flexible as we go through this.
It actually reminds me of some of the skills that you develop as an actor and as an improviser. I know you started out in improv.
That, yes, what an excellent point. Yeah, I was a performer and a teacher at the Groundlings Theater in Los Angeles for over 10 years. And that was the most important thing I learned about improv in general was when things are unsure, the best thing you can do is make eye contact, connect, listen, be a great listener, and then respond accordingly to be an empathetic human. People always think about improv as the thing that's going to be tough because I have to be funny and I have to be witty and I have to be all these things. No, you just have to listen and respond. Just be connected. And that there's no real wrong answers necessarily if you're connected and responding in an honest way, as long as you're in tune with what's going on around you and everybody's on the same team, then you're going to make it through.
Yeah, and that's not much different from life. For those coming to this, maybe stumbling over it and not aware of the context of this conversation, do you want to tell us a little bit about the show?
Oh, I'd love to. Vincent was written, I believe, in around 1979 by Leonard Nimoy, the Leonard Nimoy. He had stumbled across the idea from a professor who was lecturing on Vincent and his brother Theo's letters, fell in love with it, worked with that professor, basically bought the idea and then crafted over a fairly long period of time this beautiful play where he was initially the original Theo Van Gogh. It's a one-person show from Theo's perspective, and it's this lovely narrative of the last 10 years of Vincent Van Gogh's life, using actual verbatim letters that the two of them shared, and this deep, deep affection that these two brothers had for one another. And how nice to be able to see Vincent as a man and not just as a genius or reducing him to the illness that he had, but rather getting a really nice complete picture. It's a beautiful story. You get a really lovely sense of what it is to be a person in isolation who is tethered by family and by art.
You talk about isolation, that is a word that is being thrown around a lot right now. When this project was chosen and we initially started talking about it and working on it, COVID-19 was not on anybody's radar. And so now it has transformed our world. It's kind of captured all the national dialogue and a lot of our own private imaginations. How is this story hitting you differently now? And do you think that it has anything to say or to offer in this new world that we now find ourselves in?
Vincent and Theo have, in a sense, a long distance relationship that is connected by letters, connected simply by correspondence. They're very rarely in those 10 years in the same city together. And they're also connected together through Vincent's art that he will send to Theo and Theo's advocacy. And that is exactly how I personally am connecting with people right now, usually either in this more modern way of writing letters, but it's basically the same thing. Luckily, it's instantaneous. Through our work together, check, through the art that we make, and through our advocacy for one another, our care for one another, and being gentle with each other and being gentle with ourselves. You know, can you imagine how much different Vincent Van Gogh's life would have been had he had the capacity to be gentle with himself, to appreciate himself, and not to be so desperately hard on himself? If he could have been as gentle with himself as Theo tried to be with him. And I think that's one of the great lessons that I've learned in my life through having a child, is make sure that you try your hardest to be as kind to yourself as you would be to the person that you love the most. Art and love. What's more appropriate in the time of COVID-19?
Something that also has struck a chord in me in this time is the way that tragedy interacts with Vincent's story. You know, there's several moments throughout his life where he finds himself in a really dire position, kind of having lost the things that normally make him feel anchored, and how he continually goes to that art and that service. I think ultimately what we get in the play is Vincent sees art as a conduit to love people and to bring beautiful things into the world, and that more than anything, that's what he wants to do. That becomes a kind of comfort and touchstone for him as he weathers each of these many storms. Speaks to me in this time. And also, I think there's a kind of irony because Vincent is so close to the situation, right? He's so close to the things that he's dealing with that he almost isn't able to see the good and the beauty that he's bringing into the world. It requires just a little bit of distance, and Theo gives us that distance. He allows us to see Vincent in a way that Vincent can't quite see himself. Where Vincent gets discouraged, Theo is able to bring out for us how amazing this is. And that is also encouraging to me, that I may be too close sometimes to it, being able to step back and say, oh no, there's still a lot of beauty here.
I hope you won't blush when I tell you that for me, it has been that same type of gently distanced honor to watch you and Nathan tackle this part, to watch these two genius actors that I admire so much and love so deeply, to watch you both go down your own individual journeys and trying to help be on the outside to gently encourage you and guide you towards your best performances. Oh, what a thrill it's been.
I have not had the perspective that you've had, because Nathan and I have been rehearsing totally separately on purpose to really let the performances develop into their own thing. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what that's been like to direct two parallel plays?
Yeah, sure. It's been interesting because on the one hand, I've had to do my normal prep to have ideas on how I think the show should be structured directorially. But on the other hand, I've really tried to stay as hands-off as possible and to be really aware of wiping the slate clean, especially when I direct Nathan or you for 2 hours and then the other one the very next 2 hours. And to try and not let those streams cross and really allow you guys to make your own individual decisions. What's been so funny is to see how many similar decisions you guys make without my prompting. But at the same time, tons of divergent choices as well. Really interesting at the very core level, in that you have both taken different approaches towards Theo himself in the general approach, and then, you know, the paths diverge from there. It's been fascinating. But I guarantee you, both of you at some point will watch what the other one did and say, ah, I should have, that's such a smart choice.
I know. Yep, I have no doubt. And Nathan is one of my favorite people and my favorite actors, so I will be watching that with terribly biased eyes. Beth, it is always a delight to talk with you. Thank you for taking some time out of your cafe dinner to speak with us tonight.
It has been delicious.
Oh, good. I will be talking to you soon, friend. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you, Ryan Crowder. You take good care of yourself. It's always just a delight to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.